Let's rewind! Hello YouTube friends and welcome to Sew Aldo for another sewing projects for beginners. Today I am going to show you how to shear stitch or smock stitch. Now that's a mouthful. Right now sheared top and dresses are like super trendy. You can pretty much find them everywhere. H&M, Zara, Topshop, what else? ASOS, even Target. Without further ado, let's go back to the beginning of this tutorial to show you how I actually created this top. Before I get to sewing, I actually need to go to the post office so I can send some stuff that I sold on eBay. Yes. Now I'm back from the post office. It's time to get to sewing. So you will need two pieces of fabrics that measure 29 by 24 inches. And you use a lightweight fabric so it gathers really easy. After that, I am going to hem the neckline because it will be difficult to hem it when the fabric is already sheared. By the way, you guys, we just got back from shipping those items that I sold on eBay, and guess what? And then I'm just going to sew it here all the way to the other end. I mentioned earlier that I just got back from eBay, so we had a very interesting day today just because I almost sent the items to a scammer. So yeah, luckily we were able to go back to the post office and get the packages and sent it to the right buyer. So guys, if you are selling items on eBay, just be sure or just be aware that there are people out there that are willing or that are going to steal your hard-earned money. So just be careful. If you get an email at the last minute saying they want to change the address because it's going to be a surprise for someone, don't fall for that because I did. I was just being nice, but it was actually a scammer. So just be careful. So next time I am always going to remind myself when I list something online, just be careful that there are people like that. Now let's get back to sewing, shall we? Now that the necklines are done, it's time to shear the fabric or smock the fabric. And here I am using a small elastic. I think this is like an eighth of an inch. So I'm just going to place it close to the neckline and I'm going to leave about half an inch tail so I can easily grab the elastic as I sew. Don't forget to stretch the elastic as you sew, and I'm using a zigzag stitch and it's 1.4 stitch length. If you're wondering how much do I pull the elastic, it's up to you. If you pull it too much, then the gathers are going to be really tight, and then if you don't pull it too much, and then it's going to be not tight and it's going to be like wavy. So it's totally up to you. Be sure to test on a separate fabric to kind of figure out which one you prefer. Going to place the elastic the same way I did the first time, but this time I am placing it half inch away from the first elastic. And now I am going to backstitch. Now I am going to stretch two elastics just because you don't want to sew on a wrinkled fabric. After two rows of elastic, it should look like this. Hey, a sneak peek of my sewing area. After 12 rows of elastic, it should look like this. And keep in mind, your hands are gonna be tired stretching the elastic as you sew, but be patient. The result is going to be awesome. So basically, when I started my shearing, it is this length, okay? And then after I sheared it, it becomes half of that. And this is when I made a mistake, a novice mistake that should not happen because I am not a beginner, but this tutorial is for beginners, so it kind of worked out. You can see I chop off the fabric in half. If you are going to recreate this fabric, don't do this right here. All honesty, I actually ran out of elastic. That's why I decided not to shear the back panel. But a good blouse should have a sheared back as well. Here I am joining the side seams. Really nice from the front, but then when I turn around, back looks awful. So I am going to unstitch it and I'm going to gather stitch right here at the back. To try to revive this project, I am going to shear the waistline of the back panel, match the side seams, and I'm going to join them again. See, it doesn't look that bad anymore, like what it was before. Really do recommend that you make another panel that looks like this one for the back piece of this blouse. I wish I didn't cut the fabric in half. That's so annoying. But anyway, guys, learn from my mistakes. So use the same amount of the fabric for the panel, for the front and the back. So you will have more flowiness to the dress or to the top. Now it's time to finish the hemlines. I'm just going to trim off the excess fabrics and I'm going to double fold it, then sew it all the way around. This is optional. If you want to add straps, you can go ahead, but if you wear it as a tube top, this top is not going anywhere because it is super tight. It's not going to slide down. To create the shoulder straps, you will need 4 inches wide, about 18 inches long strips of fabrics. And then I am going to sew the side and leaving one end open so I can turn the fabric right side out. I really love sewing projects that doesn't require any sewing patterns, so if you enjoy this, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. I should make one with sleeves on just because I really love this summer trend. It is super cute and very wearable. And then I am going to turn it right side out, making sure that the corners are on point. I'm gonna give it a quick pressing so it looks nice and it looks professional. Then place it on the neckline, place it where you want it to be or where is the most comfortable for you. So I tried on the top and I actually adjusted it. And then I realized that I cannot take this off just because it has pins. So I ended up just placing a pin where I want the straps to be. Oh my gosh, the pin just stabbed my back, you guys. Ouch. Now I'm just going to tack the straps where I placed the pins and the top is done. My mannequin is wearing this right now just because I can't really model it for you guys because it is kind of not modest. It is tube top with the straps on the shoulders. That's why I can't really try it on. But I know a lot of you guys want to know how to make this type of garment. That's why I decided to make it. So that's it, you guys, and I hope you enjoyed this simple sewing tutorial for beginner. If you like it, be sure to give this video a thumbs up, and why not subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Be sure to click the necessary notification button so you will get notified whenever I post a new sewing tutorial for beginners. I will see you in the next one. Bye! Hello YouTube friends and welcome to Sew Aldo. I make awesome sewing projects for beginners. So on today's episode, I am going to show you how to make a sheared top with sleeves. So if you like to see how I did it, be sure to stay tuned and keep on watching. You'll need two pieces of fabrics that measure 29 by 24 inches. I recommend you use a lightweight fabric so it gathers really easy. After that, I am going to hem the neckline because it will be difficult to hem it when the fabric is already sheared. And then I'm just going to sew it here all the way to the other end. Now that the necklines are done, it's time to shear the fabric or smock the fabric. And here I am using a small elastic. I think this is like an eighth of an inch. So I'm just going to place it close to the neckline and I'm going to leave about half an inch tail so I can easily grab the elastic as I sew. Don't forget to stretch the elastic as you sew, and I'm using a zigzag stitch and it's 1.4 stitch length. If you're wondering how much do I pull the elastic, it's up to you. If you pull it too much, then the gathers are going to be really tight, and then if you don't pull it too much, and then it's going to be not tight and it's going to be like wavy. So it's totally up to you. Be sure to test on a separate fabric to kind of figure out which one you prefer. Going to place the elastic the same way I did the first time, but this time I am placing it half inch away from the first elastic. And now I am going to backstitch. Now I am going to stretch two elastics just because you don't want to sew on a wrinkled fabric. After two rows of elastic, it should look like this. Hey, a sneak peek of my sewing area. After 12 rows of elastic, it should look like this. And keep in mind, your hands are gonna be tired stretching the elastic as you sew, but be patient, the result is going to be awesome. So basically, when I started my shearing, it is this length, okay? And then after I sheared it, it becomes half of that. So here I am joining the side seams. Use the same amount of the fabric for the panel, for the front and the back, so you will have more flowiness to the dress or to the top. This is optional. If you want to add straps, you can go ahead, but if you wear it as a tube top, this top is not going anywhere because it is super tight. It's not going to slide down. The previous tutorial, I showed you how to add straps on the tube top. Now I am removing them and I will be putting a proper sleeves on because it's actually a very requested video, so that's why I am doing it for you guys. I will be using the scrap fabric that I found in my stash. If you have a sleeve pattern already, go ahead and use that. If not, you can easily use a t-shirt that is a loose fitting one, and then you can just easily trace the sleeve. That is super easy to do. The next thing I will do is fold the fabric in half, and I'm going to place the sleeve on fold. Instead of putting the sleeve on the fold, I decided to add extra 1/2 inch, and then I'll go ahead and trace the arm side and all the way down. I'm going to extend the sleeves just because I want it a little long, so I'm going to extend it all the way down by about 4 inches. So I'm basically just following the curve of the arm side, and I'm using a washable crayon. Don't forget to add about 1/2 inch seam allowances. Decided to extend the length of the sleeves so I will have more fabric to work with just in case I want it puff sleeves, I can also add elastic on the hemline. So that is another look. If you like that, that is so easy to do. Just follow the shearing process that I showed you earlier, but instead put it on the hemline. I will pop a few pins so it doesn't move while I cut it because the fabric is so soft and flowy. Now I'm going to cut out the sleeve and I will use this piece as my template for the other sleeve. Here I am going to trim off the shoulder slope because it was a little pointy, so I just had to trim it to curve it a little bit more. So now I am going to fold it like this and I am going to join the inseam. And back stitch, just like that. To tame the edges, I will be using a zigzag stitch just because this is for a beginner, so most likely you don't have a fancy serger. Create half of the armhole, I am going to do 2 inches in and 2 inches down, and I'm going to cut a curve. I will repeat the same steps on the other armhole. Now you should have something like this. And now I'm going to open it up so I can match the half of the arm side of the sleeve. So I start matching the inseam just because there is no shoulder seams. So match that first and then pin it and work your way out. And be sure that the right sides of the fabrics are facing each other. If you are enjoying this sewing project, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. And I'm going to sew it right here and same on the other side. Now it's time to finish the shoulders. We'll use an elastic that is about 1/4 of an inch wide. So I am going to place it on the wrong side of the fabric. As you can see here, I am matching the raw edge of the shoulder and the elastic to get a rough estimate of how much elastic I will need. And it is about 14 inches long. I will have to trim that off later on once I finish shearing the shoulder. And you will need 2 pieces of elastic, one for each sleeves, obviously. And now I'm actually going to test a different method. A lot of you guys were asking if you can just use a straight stitch, and it actually worked just fine. So if you want to go ahead and use a straight stitch, you can do that, but keep in mind that it may not give you that same gather if you will use zigzag stitch. So as you can see here, I am going to be stretching the elastic as much as I could. This is also another frequently asked question, like how much you pull the elastic. The answer is it is up to you. Be sure that you do a test fabric first to figure that out, because sometimes if you don't pull the elastic enough, it's not going to gather. Pull it too much and then it's so tight and it's not going to give you that nice gather effect. So You have to find a happy medium that will work for you, and you can do that by testing on a separate fabric. This is the verdict. It actually works. So if you don't feel like using a zigzag stitch, you can totally use a straight stitch. It's time to trim off the excess elastic. I measured it and it's actually 7 inches. So before we started the shearing, it was 14 inches long and now it's only 7 inches. Now it's time to finish the raw edge of the shoulder. So I'm just going to fold it and then sew a straight stitch one more time or top stitch it. Also going to stretch the elastic as I sew because you don't ever want to sew on a wrinkled fabric. It will look awful. After I finish the shoulder, all what's left to do is finish the hemline. So I'm just going to double fold the hem of the sleeve and then sew it all the way around. So that's it everyone, and I hope you are inspired. I hope you learned something from this sewing projects for beginner. If you did, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up so YouTube will recommend my video more so it can reach more audience. So yeah, thank you so much again, and I will see you in the next one. Bye! And you will be the judge. You tell me if this sleeves looks ridiculous on me. Hello YouTube friends and welcome to So Aldo. On today's episode, I have another thrift flip. So I purchased this dress at a flea market when my family and I went to New York last year. So yeah, I got that for $2 and it was a vintage dress that is like a floor length dress. So I decided to turn it into a much more wearable piece. I actually experimented on how to do a puff sleeve that will stay and hold its shape, and I managed to do that, but it doesn't suit me. It doesn't suit my style. But you know, I learned something new today, and I hope you will learn something too. If you want big voluminous sleeves, this tutorial is going to cover that. So without further ado, let's go back to where we started when the dress didn't look like this. So let's go ahead and go back to the start. I love it. It's maxi skirt, flounce sleeves, and it has this detail. And then when you open it up, this is actually a nursing dress. As you can see, the breast part is open so you can feed the baby. How cool is that? That's why I kind of don't know what to do with this because I love this dress, but I'm not gonna be using it. So yeah, just because, you know, nursing dress is very very handy. That's why I kind of feel bad of kind of cutting this or doing something to this just because of that reason. The first thing I will do is deconstruct the dress. So I am going to be removing the shoulder pads, the sleeves, and the belt and the belt loops. And here I am carefully cutting off the sleeves following the seam just because I am going to be reusing the sleeves later on, and I'm doing it one layer at a time. I'm also going to cut the side seams open. Also going to cut along the shoulder seams. Now I have all the pieces separated. So this is the back and this is the front. I'm going to carefully remove the flap on the front of the bodice. I'm also cutting along the neckline. I'll set it aside and I will use it for the neck and their facing.
Now let's work on the bodice. So there is a princess seam right here. So princess seam, I'm just going to fold it like this, and I'm going to take it in following that original seam. So I'm probably going to take in about 1 inch, and I'm just going to test it as I go, just because it's hard to measure it just because it's already like this. So I'm just going to take it in ever so slowly and then go from there. This is going to be my guideline right in the edge of the presser foot. So I'm going to line up the original seam against the end of the presser foot. Okay, just like that.
Ended up doing about 1/4 of an inch seam allowance instead of 1 inch.
As you can see, there is no more breast exit. I may have to iron it, okay, so it looks really nice. And then on the back, do that all really carefully.
Some of the clips are going to be fast forward just because if I don't do that, this video is going to be super long and I don't want to bore you to death. Of course, I am going to repeat the same step on the other princess seam.
I'm not going to remove the zipper. I'm just going to close that so it's one piece. So I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to take it in. Same thing like I did on the front. I'm going to take it in from here. Okay. Same thing here. I'm going to take it in about that much. Don't need it anymore. I'm going to cut about 1/2 inch or 1 inch.
Really loving this cutting mat that I got long time ago. It's from the brand Eco Pico. And yeah, I really love it. As you can see, it is very handy. If you have the grid already, it's so much easier to measure.
So I'm going to do the same thing. Inch.
I don't know about you, but I find cutting up clothes like this is very satisfying. I don't always cut up a good looking dress.
I'm going to cut it as well.
I am just trimming off excess fabrics, as you can see here. Of course, all the things that I do on the left side of the dress, it should be repeated on the other side. It was actually very challenging just because this dress wasn't symmetrical. Here I am just reshaping the arm side. As you can see, the left side is smaller than the right, so I'm struggling a little bit, like I don't know how much to cut, but I ended up cutting it anyway, and I made the arm side a little smaller than it was. I also trimmed off the side seam by about 1 inch, and I kind of did it on an angle. It's time to work on the neckline. Here I am going to make a neck interfacing. So I basically just put the neckline of the dress to that piece that I cut off earlier. I'm going to trace the shoulder seams, and I'm going to make a 3-inch wide neck facing. So while I am tracing, I just want to say hello to every one of you guys. I hope you are all doing well and staying healthy and happy. As you can see, I had been filming like all month of July, and this is going to be my last sewing project for this month of July. Homeschool is going to start pretty soon. That's why I am filming as much as I could just to keep up, and I have some contents to post on my channel. You have no idea that filming is actually helping me stay busy and just kind of not stressed out about the pandemic. So if you have a hobby that you want to learn, now this is the time. I'm actually learning how to play the piano. Oh my gosh, really enjoying it. I get to play my favorite songs already. Oh my gosh, you have no idea. I had been playing and I'm just having fun with it. I am actually playing by ear, so it much faster than the traditional learning like the note reading, which I absolutely hate. But playing by ear is such a great way to learn and it's super easy. So let me know, you guys, if you want me to film a piano cover for beginners, because I'm not that good yet, but I can play and sing along with the music. So yeah. After I cut and fuse the interfacing, I am going to pin it on the right side of the neckline, and then I am going to sew along the edge, as you can see here. And try not to stretch the neckline so you will not have a gaping neckline, which is terrible.
And we're good to go. And now I'm going to make some small cuts along the curve, especially on the curve here.
It's called grading. The reason for it is so when you turn over the facing, the neckline is going to be nice and crisp.
Just along the curve. This one is not that curve. Now it's much easier to turn, and it's going to lay flat beautifully like that, as you can see.
Next thing I will do is understitch the facing, so be sure that the raw edge is facing towards the neck facing. The reason for it is so when you put the garment on, the neck facing is not going to peek through the neckline. Going to sew as close to the seam as possible, and I'm also constantly checking that the facing is pointing towards the right side or the facing. Now it's time to join the shoulder seams of the bodice and the neck facing. Right sides of the fabrics are facing each other.
Let's match that first. Okay, so that's match. I'm going to pin or flip it. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Oh my gosh, I am really loving the color of this dress. And like I said earlier, I'm not going to make a lot of changes to the dress just because I want to keep the vintage style.
And I am going to join the shoulder seams and be sure to backstitch so it doesn't unravel.
We have a finished neckline that is absolutely beautiful. So now we have a neckline. It's kind of wonky, but I'm going to press it. And now it's time to join the side seams of the dress. Okay, so I'm going to finish the neckline or this later on. But I'm going to trim all the way down to the hemline.
Hey, if you are still watching the video, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. That means you are learning something today. And I am going to match the side seams, and I am going to sew a straight stitch from the underarm seam all the way down to the hemline.
back stitch.
Really enjoying this thrifted transformation sewing projects. This is totally for beginner. Now it's time to work on the sleeves. As you can see here, I'm just trimming off the edges, the rough edges. Also cut out an fusible interfacing, so when I turn this into a puff sleeves, it will hold its shape. And here I am marking about 3 inches in, so I can mark where I'm going to put the gather stitch, so I can lightly gather the sleeves to give that puffed effect. Just change the setting to the longest stitch setting on my sewing machine, and then I am going to pull the bobbin thread to gather the sleeve. Also sew the inseam of the sleeve. I place the sleeve inside the armhole and I match the right sides of the fabric, and I also match the seams first and then work my way around. And then I will lightly gather the sleeve so it will fit in the armhole. After that, I am going to sew it all the way around. To get that puff look, I am going to shear the hemline of the sleeves. I already have a tutorial on how to shear stitch without using an elastic thread. I'm going to have the link in the description box below so you can go ahead and check that out. Now all what's left to do is hem the dress, and this is the before and now this is the after. I made it a little shorter so it is wearable. I really love how it turned out. The camera is not doing the dress some justice just because it's not picking up the right color. And as you can see, I reused the belt that I took off from the back of the dress earlier. Oh my goodness, I absolutely love the sheared effect on this dress or on the sleeves. I think it looks very Renaissance or very romantic rather. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you like this sewing projects for beginner. I absolutely love doing this type of videos. Love doing thrifted transformations or thrift flip as we call it here on YouTube. I absolutely love it just because I love buying stuff at the thrift store, and I also love sustainable clothing. So anyway, you guys, thanks so much for watching, and I hope you like this tutorial. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I will see you in the next one. Bye! A dress with little legs. Yeah, that's how I describe it. Hello YouTube friends, and welcome to Sew Aldo. On today's video, I am going to show you how to make a Reformation inspired two-piece set. So I was browsing online the other day and searching for some ideas on what can I transform this dress into. I purchased this maybe a month ago from Burlington Coat Factory. I found it at the children's section and it was only $4. So, although I love the style of it, the top doesn't really fit me that much. It's like so baggy on the top and on the waistline, and I hate it. I hate it if I see volume on the waistline. It bugs me. So today this dress is going to be a sacrificial dress for you guys, so I can remake this Reformation inspired two-piece set that cost over $200. And my version is going to cost you $4. And you can easily find this type of garments at any thrift store. Trust me, I'm always at the thrift store and I always see this type of garments. So go ahead and go to your local Goodwill locations and yeah, search for a dress that looks like this, that has elastic neckline and elastic waistband. And it's important, it should fit you. Okay, this dress has a high and low hem. This look doesn't look good on me just because I am a very short person, a petite person, so wearing some sort of this type of hemline, it makes me look stubby. A dress with little legs. Yeah, that's how I would describe it. So anyway, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. I post 2 videos every week. Share this video, I would really appreciate it because it is actually helping me to reach more potential viewers. So if you are one of my subscribers who love to share my videos, I totally appreciate that, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart. So anyway, enough. Let's go right into the tutorial, shall we? Now I am going to set up my sewing area and filming area. I move the lights, and now I am setting up my camera and my tripod. And this closet right here is terrible, so we are going to close that. So that is for another day. But right now I'm just setting up so I can start my project. So that's my setup. Now it's time to film. So the first thing I will do is separate the bodice from the skirt. So I am going to cut it right below the elastic. I'm giving it about an inch allowance. So I'm going to chop it up really carefully. I suggest that you do 1 layer at a time so it will be even throughout, just because my allowance was not even. Oh my gosh, you guys, my brain is protesting because I feel guilty calling this a DIY because this is like super easy. Now I'm just going to finish the hemline of the top or the crop top by double folding it and then sew it all the way around and then call it a day. That is super easy. It took me about a minute. This is one of the easiest sewing projects for beginners that I'm ever going to do on this channel. So I told you that my seam allowance was not even. I was struggling here a little bit, but eventually I made it work. So I just kind of carefully fold it and then fold it one more time and then sew it all the way around, and I was done. Now it's time to work on the skirt. I am simply going to make a 1-inch wide casing because the elastic that I'm using is going to be 1-inch wide. So if you want it wider, you are going to make the casing wider.
Okay, so let's search for an elastic. So this one is too wide, but it's up to you. If you want a wider elastic, you can go ahead and do that. Let's see, rummage things. So yes, and I like to use the knit elastic so it doesn't twist. Okay, so that is very important. Okay, so I'm texting my sister and she just told me that she actually posted her second video, and it's the room decor Shopee. Yeah, she lives in the Philippines and she loves minimalist style, so she posted that. She was showing it to me right here. Yeah, so I just texted her. Yeah, we communicate on Facebook Messenger nowadays, guys. Facebook Messenger is actually just like awesome. You know, thank you, Facebook.
I got this elastic from Joann's Fabrics, but you can easily find it at any fabric store or arts and crafts maybe.
Figure out the waistline. You are just going to simply wrap it around your waistline like so. Make sure it's not super tight, okay? So just like that, you know, put it wherever you want the skirt to sit on, obviously. So you can put it here. I always like to put high-waisted just because I'm a petite person. High-waisted skirts and dresses actually is flattering on my figure just because I have a short torso. You don't want to show your belly button because that's kind of gross. So yeah, so if you want high-waisted, for this project, high-waisted is going to be flattering. It's gonna hide unnecessary bumps right here. If you put your elastic here and then you wear a crop top, you're gonna have a muffin top, and that is not a sexy look. I should not say sexy, but it's not an appropriate look. My waistline is 25. I'm gonna do 26 plus 26 including the allowance. So I'm just going to do that. Cut it. There is another way to add elastic. You simply serge the edge and then fold and then sew it again. So that is for more advanced. I have a tutorial on how to do that. I will have that link if you want that that style, because it will give you a different detail on the skirt and it makes it look more a professional project, or like someone that you actually bought it in the store. But because this is sewing projects for beginners, we are going to make it simple for you guys. We are just going to do this. So let's give it about a 1/4 of an inch allowance. Okay, I'm going to fold it first and then fold it one more time. All right, and then make sure that the elastic will fit perfect, and then you pin. There you go.
Right now, this type of clothes is actually very, very trendy. You will find them in Shein, Forever 21, and even H&M. But if you want to practice your DIY skills, now is the time. Because this set is so easy to make. You are going to be really proud of yourself once you finish this easy sewing projects for beginner. Just taking a coffee break here. So let's go ahead and sew this baby up. Dress is very feminine and you will feel like you are the best dressed in the room or in the beach if you are planning to go to the beach. Be sure that you have an opening so you can feed the elastic through. I will put a safety pin on the end of the elastic and I'm going to slowly feed it through the casing. If you like this type of aesthetics or if you have a girly girl style, be sure to give this video a thumbs up.
Back stitch a few times. Oh, great. See, when I said make sure you sew it that it's not twisted, it is twisted. See? Oh my goodness. So we have to unstitch.
After I fix that mistake,
so now I close the drive and it's secure in there. Now we have a finished skirt.
So after 10 minutes, I actually finished the crop top and skirt set already. I love how it turned out, you guys. This project is so easy. Right now, I won't be able to try this on just because it's not going to be appropriate if I show you my belly skin, and it's kind of gross and inappropriate for my age. But a lot of you guys want to learn how to make this style. That's why I decided to make it for you. Because it is 2 pieces, you can change the top and the bottoms. You can this becomes interchangeable, so you will get more outfits for your money. My inspiration was from Reformations, and their garments are actually very beautiful. I'm also sure that they have good quality, but the problem is it's just not friendly for your pocket. The dress inspiration that I looked at online was actually $248 and mine only cost $4. So yeah, this is much more easier, and you can also find it at the thrift store, this type of garments at the thrift store. So that's going to be, you know, also sustainable clothing without breaking the bank. So anyway, thanks so much for watching, and I hope you like this easy sewing projects for beginner. If you enjoyed it and if you are inspired, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I have all the links down in the description box below. Go ahead and check those out. And yes, I will see you in the next one. Bye! Guys, welcome back to Sew Aldo. On today's tutorial, I am going to show you how to easily make a petal sleeve pattern. So if you are interested to make that, go ahead and stay tuned. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. Just click the subscribe button and hit the notification button as well so you will get notified whenever I post a new video. With that being said, let's go ahead and get started. For this tutorial, you will need a basic sleeve pattern. If you don't have this yet, I'm going to have the link in the description box below. You can go ahead and watch that because you will need it for this tutorial. So the first thing I will do is trace the sleeve pattern onto a piece of paper. Then I mark the center fold. Then I will measure half of the sleeve and then I will divide it into two. And then I'll go ahead and mark that. Going to draw a curved line from here all the way to the inseam. And here I am adjusting the curved line because it wasn't curved as I wanted it to be. And then I will add about 1 centimeter seam allowance. Actually, I made a mistake here. My pattern already has a seam allowance. I should not have added it, but if your pattern did not have a seam allowance, you will add it. Your pattern piece should look something like this. I went ahead and cut it out, and I also going to label it. So I'm going to put inseam right here, and if you notice, the sleeve says cut 2, so you will have 2 pieces per sleeve. So basically you will need 4 pieces. Now it's time to cut out the sleeve pieces, and here I folded the fabric like this, so when I cut out the fabric I will have 2 mirroring image. And then if you put it together, it should look something like this. So that's the inseam right here. And then I open it up and I'm going to match the curves right here. Before we put together the sleeves, I am going to hem the sleeves first. So I'm just going to double fold it to get a rolled hem finished. Pay attention to the hemlines just because both ends has curves, so it can get confusing. It should look like this, so pretty and tidy. Make sure that the sleeves are going to fit in the arm side. Measure the arm side first and then measure the sleeve slope. The sleeve should be the same length of the arm side or at least 2 inches bigger. You can easily gather it to fit the arm side. According to my measurement, it should be at least 3 inches away from the inseam. So I place the piece right here and I'm just going to sew it right here so they will become one piece. And then I will sew a basting stitch right below the first stitch that I made earlier so I can easily gather the sleeves later on. So here I ended up making a new pair of sleeves just because I did not like the way the raw edge is showing on the first sleeve that I made earlier. As you notice, I serged the raw edges here instead of rolling them. But honestly, that wasn't necessary because at the end of this video, I ended up trimming the sleeves anyway. Oh well. And now it's time to join the inseam. And my tip is it's actually much easier if you join the inseam first before you hem the sleeves. I learned that the hard way.
The overlap should be facing each other just because when you put it on the sleeve, they should go on the same direction. So
now it's time to join the sleeve in the armhole. I first match the underarm seam and then the shoulder seam. I also going to gather the sleeve as I go, so I'm going to ease it in basically. And remember, right sides of the fabric should be facing each other. And then I am going to base stitch it just to make sure I like the way it looks, so if I need to adjust it, I can easily pull the threads out. So this is the finished sleeves. I absolutely love how they turn out. So when I tried on the dress, I thought the sleeves were a little big on me, but if you like the puffy sleeves look, that is perfect. But for me, that is too much sleeves, so this is a matter of personal preference. So I ended up editing the pattern and the sleeves itself. I basically cut it in half.
To cut this in half, so this is the center, so this is half is 2.5, and then I will add seam allowance about 1/2 inch or 1 centimeter. So this is the edit that I am doing on my pattern. Yeah, so really it's totally up to you if you want the sleeve longer.
If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. Just click the subscribe button and hit the notification button as well, so you will get notified whenever I post a new video. I'm hiding behind the bushes, guys. We're in Target. Hello, so Aldo fam, welcome to my channel. On today's tutorial, I have another sewing for beginners for you guys. So today I am going to show you how I made this dress. I did a separate tutorials on the petals just because it was like time consuming, so I ended up separating it. So before we begin, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. Click the notification as well so you will get notified whenever I post a new sewing tutorial. With that being said, let's go ahead and get started. I already constructed the bodice. I basically just joined the shoulder seams and sew it. I also did the same thing on the neck interfacing. I basically joined the shoulder seams and now I attach it on the neckline. Right sides of the fabrics are facing each other. If you want to make your own bodice patterns, I actually have a tutorial on how to do that. My process was a hack just because I just copied a dress that fits me really well and use it as my pattern. So if you are a beginner, this is a perfect project for you. I also have a separate tutorial on how to make your own petal sleeves. So if you haven't watched that, I'm going to have the link in the description box below. So today is going to be our first road trip of the year. After that, it's time to trim and grade the neckline. I'm trimming off about half of the seam allowance. Don't make it too short just because we are going to be understitching the neck facing on the seam allowance. You want to be able to have that extra fabric underneath. Now it's time to grade it. The reason for this is to release the tension along the curve of the neckline, so when you turn the facing over, it should lay flat and not wrinkle or pucker. Now it's time to understitch it. Basically, you are sewing as close to the seam as possible and be sure that the raw edge is facing up. And 9 hours later, I'm with my sister going to Target for a quick shopping trip. I also overlock the raw edges. If you don't have one, you can use a narrow zigzag stitch, or you can double fold it or roll the hem. It will also work. Now it's time to join the side seams. Be sure that the petals are facing each other, so when you put it in the armhole of the dress, they will go on the same direction. If you're just using a basic sleeve, you don't have to worry about it. And if you don't have a basic sleeve pattern yet, I have a tutorial for that. I'm going to have the link in the description box below, so you can go ahead and watch that tutorial.
So now it's time to add or put the sleeve on the armhole. Okay, so first I'm going to turn it like this because you should be putting it right sides together, and find the center fold of the fabric. Okay, so that's the fold. I marked it right here. So just be sure to mark the center fold of the sleeve, so it's much easier for you to match it on this on the shoulder seam. So center fold on the shoulder seam, and then clip it. And remember, we basted it, so we can easily ease it in. Okay, I always like to find the seams first. Okay, so that's that. So match those first, and then we are going to ease it in. So basically, I'm just going to lightly gather the sleeve. So now that it fits, I'm just going to sew it all the way around.
After that, I realized that I want the sleeves shorter, so I ended up cutting it in half. And here I am editing my pattern, so next time I will know that the sleeves are going to be this length instead. Now it's time to add the circle skirt bottom. I have a tutorial on how to make this pattern. It is super easy. I have a tutorial on how to make your own circle skirt pattern. I will have the link in the description box below.
To sew it from here all the way to the other end. So let's go ahead and do that.
This step is optional, but I am top stitching the waistline of the dress just because one of my dress from J. Crew has this detail and I thought it looks so nice, so I decided to try it on this sewing project.
Using an invisible zipper, I already have a tutorial on how to do that. I'm just going to have the link in the description box below, so you can go ahead and watch that. So that was a detailed tutorial.
So I decided to make a matching face mask for this dress just because I can. Plus, I have plenty of leftover fabric, so I decided why not. And plus, this is 100% cotton, which makes a perfect face mask just because it is very breathable. I already have a bunch of face mask tutorials already. I'm just going to have them linked in the description box below, like everything else that I have been mentioning all day. You have this option to leave this one end open so you can put a filter inside, but honestly I don't ever put filter in my face mask, so I didn't bother. Then I put the elastic in, and it is about 7 inches long. I knot the ends to secure it, and it's done. Let's go back to the easy dress tutorial, shall we? Now I am going to finish the back seam.
Someone asked me how to prevent that puckering right here when you sew the zipper, like on the end of the zipper. If you installed an invisible zipper in the past, you will know what I'm talking about. that sometimes you can get like puckering on the outside of the fabric because of this, right? This is the end of the zipper, and this is the 5/8 seam allowance all the way to the hemline. You are going to sew 6/8 instead. So we're gonna sew from here, just right outside that 5/8 of an inch, all the way down. Okay, there you go. So as you can see here, there is no puckering on the bottom here. I just need to iron it, okay? So that's the end of the zipper. I'm going to fold it and then fold it one more time. I'm going to hand stitch that, and I'm also going to tack the facing so it doesn't flippity plop. So that's that. I'm just going to do that. So basically same thing here. Make sure I'm also going to serge the raw edges later. So that's that. And what's left to do is hem.
So that's it for today, and I hope you enjoyed this simple tutorial. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments down below and I will try to get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks so much for watching again, and I will see you in the next one. Bye! This is when my hair itch. My hair itch pose. Hey guys, welcome to So Aldo. On today's tutorial, we are going to do a merger. So this is the merger I'm talking about. I'm going to be merging these two garments together, and I am super excited about this. I got this stuff from the thrift store from 2 separate trips. So yeah, I went to Goodwill. I found these skirts, so I thought this is like a good project for me to try because I have been wanting to mix prints for a long time. I hope you like this sewing projects for beginner. I absolutely love doing thrift flips or thrifted transformation just because I love going shopping at the thrift store and buying some vintage garments and reimagining them. Subscribe to my channel and hit the notifications so you will get notified whenever I release a new sewing tutorial for beginner. With that being said, let's go ahead and get started. The first thing I did was search on Pinterest for some inspirations. I just type in mixed print outfit street style. So it showed a bunch of outfit ideas. I really love this combination right here. I also browsed on Google and I also typed in the same thing, mixed print outfits, and it showed a bunch of ideas that I can also use as inspiration, just making sure that the prints that I'm using are complementing each other. Now that I have a clear idea on what I want to turn this dress into, I decided to add sleeves on the dress. So first, I am going to trace the armhole to make the sleeve pattern. So I'm just going to trace it on a big sheet of paper. The sleeve length is going to be 3/4, so it's going to be 17 inches long, and that is including the seam allowances. The inseam is going to be 14 inches, and as you can see, I kind of angled it a little bit. I will add about 1 centimeter seam allowance right here. I placed the sleeve pattern on the upper part of the skirt just to make sure that I have enough fabric. So after I figured out that I have plenty, I am going to cut off about 11 inches off of the hemline, and I will use that for the ruffle.
Wait a minute, I think it's gonna work. As you can see, the waistband, I can actually use it as my cuff right here. So that is the waistband. It's a flat waistband. I'm just going to place my pattern right on there, and look, it's a perfect length right there. I'm just going to trace it right here, okay? Yay, 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 yay. I love it when a sewing project is just like naturally cooperating with you. Okay, it's my lucky day.
I also cut off the plackets because we don't want that unnecessary bulkiness on the sleeves. I am just going to sew it right here.
Going to put this in the armhole, match the underarm seam. Okay, and then clip it. So I always like to find the seams first and then the center fold. That I clip it together. As you can see, if you follow the process that I showed you earlier, just it will fit perfectly. This one doesn't need to be eased in just because it fits like a glove. See? And then I'm just going to sew it all the way around, and I will do the same thing on the other sleeve. So the moment of truth, I'm going to turn the dress right side out, and now we have sleeves. I'm liking it so far, so I'm gonna try it on and see how much fabric I'm going to trim off of this.
So today I am going to Ross. I am going to go shop for some church clothes for my children. So there's Ross, there is Hobby Lobby. I might go to Kirkland's as well, and maybe Tuesday morning. Yeah, it's a little late already, so I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to go to all of the stores that I mentioned, but my priority is Ross and then Hobby Lobby. So I will see you in a little bit. Okay, so I just finished shopping at Ross. I bought quite a few shoes for my girls. They were like such a good deal, and I hope they fit. Yeah, so because that's like the struggle. Yeah, that is my struggle. Whenever I buy them a pair of shoes, they don't fit, but I got a few shoes and hopefully they'll fit. So anyway, it's time to go to Walmart and pick up some groceries. That was a quick trip. Now it's time to go back to sewing. I needed to trim off about 11 inches from the hemline of this dress. Now it's time to work on the ruffles. I am going to cut off those plackets. We won't be needing those. I will then match the side seam and I'm going to join it right here. After that, I am also going to finish the raw edge and then I will gather it.
So first I am going to fold it.
I am going to finish the raw edge by folding it and then sew it all the way around and then fold it one more time and then sew it all the way around again. So I will be doing it twice. I guess you can do a double fold, but for beginner, this is actually a little easier, this method that I'm showing you. And plus, this type of material that I'm using is very soft, so that's why I ended up doing it this way.
So I hem it the way I hemmed it. I basically double rolled it. So now it's time to gather this ruffle. So I stitch 2 rows of base stitch here and I am going to gather it, matching the seam or the hemline.
You are still watching this sewing projects. Thank you so much for staying with me. I really appreciate that.
Right, I don't have to hem it just because it's already finished. So I'm just going to distribute this. Just place it on the top.
I am sewing the ruffle on the right side of the fabric. That is the reason why I finished the raw edge earlier, because I want that to show on the outside of the dress. So basically I will be top stitching it. And I'm also taking my time just because I don't want the gathers to move while I am sewing. Another sewing tip for beginners, this is important that you use a base stitch first, just because it's much easier if it's not even. You can easily pull the threads out and redo it again. Now it's time to make a self-tie belt just to make the look cohesive. I am going to be using a long strip of fabric about 60 inches long, and this is 4 inches wide. I ended up sewing 2 pieces of fabrics together to make this long strip of fabric. I basically just fold it in half. Right sides of the fabrics are facing each other, and then I'm going to sew it, leaving an opening so I can turn the belt right side out. Then I will turn the belt right side out using a pencil, or you can also use a safety pin, whatever you want to use. Just be sure that you don't poke a hole through the belt. I gave it a good press and the dress is done. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this simple dress tutorial. If you are inspired, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed already, be sure to click the subscribe button and also hit the notification so you will get notified whenever I post a new sewing tutorial for beginner. I will see you in the next one. Bye!